Close your eyes. Imagine you are floating, not in air, not in light, in water, dark water, cold and absolutely still. Above you, impossibly far above you, the surface of the ocean catches the last traces of moonlight. But you are not going up, you are going down. Tonight, we are going somewhere very few human beings have ever been, into the deep ocean. Not the shallow, warm waters near the shore, not the sunlit world of coral and color, but the real deep, the darkness beneath the darkness. Welcome to Wonder Drift Stories. If these stories help you sleep, a like and a subscribe means everything to this small channel. New stories every week. Now, let us descend. The ocean covers 71% of the surface of the earth. 71%. And yet, we have explored less of it than we have explored the surface of the moon. The average depth of the ocean is 3,600 meters. The deepest point, Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench, reaches nearly 11,000 meters below the surface, 11 kilometers straight down. If you placed Mount Everest at the bottom of Challenger Deep, its peak would still be more than a mile beneath the waves, and most of that vast dark space has never been seen by human eyes. We know more about the surface of Mars than we know about the floor of our own ocean. More people have walked on the moon than have descended to the deepest parts of the sea. The deep ocean is not just unexplored, it is almost completely unknown. And tonight, we are going to drift through it together, slowly, without light, without weight, just downward into the dark. Let us begin at the surface, right now, as you lie in the quiet. Imagine the ocean at 3 a.m. No wind, no ships, just the slow breathing of the water, the surface barely moving, a vast dark mirror reflecting nothing but stars. This is the sunlit zone, the uppermost layer of the ocean, down to about 200 meters. This is where almost all the life most of us know exists. Fish, sea turtles, dolphins, the great whales passing silently in the dark. Light still reaches here, during the day at least, but at 3 a.m., even this familiar world is dark. The fish hang motionless in the water. The plankton drift without direction. The sea is asleep, in the same way you are almost asleep now. Still, barely moving, breathing. We pass through this layer on our way down. Let it go above you. Deeper now, 200 meters below the surface. The last traces of sunlight fade. You can still see, just barely, a faint blue glow above you growing dimmer with every meter. And then it is gone. This is the twilight zone, the mesopelagic, from 200 meters down to 1,000 meters deep, a layer of ocean stretched around the entire Earth, where the light from above simply runs out. The temperature drops here dramatically. The pressure increases. The world you know, the warm surface world of waves and weather and sunlight, is already somewhere far above that you can no longer see. And yet, this is not empty. Every night, in a migration so vast, it is one of the largest movements of life on Earth. Billions of creatures rise from the deep toward the surface to feed, and then, before dawn, descend again. An entire living world commuting between darkness and less darkness, rising, feeding, sinking, every night, in every ocean, all around the planet. You have never seen it. Almost no one has. We descend past them now, past the lanternfish, glowing faintly as they rise, past the bristle mouths, the most numerous vertebrates on Earth, countless beyond counting, moving silently through water that has never known light. Below us, the darkness deepens, 1,000 meters. The twilight zone ends here, and what begins has no name that does it justice. Scientists call it the midnight zone, the bathypelagic, 1,000 to 4,000 meters, in perpetual, absolute darkness. No light from above reaches here, none. Not a single photon from the sun has ever touched this water. The temperature here is a constant 4 degrees Celsius, just above freezing. Not cold enough to kill, just cold enough to remind you that warmth is something that belongs to the world above. The pressure at this depth is immense, more than 100 times the pressure at the surface. The weight of a kilometre of water pressing down on every single centimetre of whatever exists here. And yet, things exist here, strange, patient, ancient things. The anglerfish drifts through the dark with a single light dangling in front of its vast jaws, a cold blue glow on a thin stalk above its head, swaying gently in the current, waiting, luring. In the absolute dark, that tiny light is everything. Prey sees it and moves toward it, drawn by the only warmth in an empty world, and the jaws close. The vampire squid moves here too, not swimming so much as hovering, drifting through the dark on slow, deliberate movements of its fins. When threatened, it inverts its body, wrapping its arms around itself like a dark cloak, disappearing. It does not hunt. It feeds on what falls from above, the endless, gentle rain of dead matter drifting down from the world above. This rain has a name: marine snow. Tiny particles of organic material, dead plankton, fragments of creatures, the shed skin and waste of everything living in the water above, drifting downward so slowly that they take weeks to fall a single kilometre. In the midnight zone, marine snow is everything. It is the only food that arrives from outside, a gentle, endless, invisible snowfall in water that has never seen light. You are drifting through it now, particles passing around you, slowly, silently, falling. 4,000 meters. The midnight zone gives way to the abyssal zone, the abyss, from the Greek word for bottomless sea. The ancient Greeks believed the deep ocean had no floor, that it simply went on forever, downward without end. They were wrong, but standing at the edge of what we now know, it is easy to understand why they felt that way. The abyssal zone covers more than 60% of the entire surface of the Earth. More than half of our planet is covered by water more than 4,000 meters deep. More than half. And almost none of it has ever been visited. The abyssal plain stretches in every direction, flat, featureless, a vast muddy desert of sediment that has been accumulating for millions of years. Every particle of marine snow that falls from above eventually settles here. Layer upon layer upon layer, a record of everything that has ever lived in the ocean above, compressed into the sediment of the floor. Scientists can drill into this sediment and read it like a book. Millions of years of ocean life, compressed into meters of mud. The abyss is not empty either. Sea cucumbers move across the floor so slowly they appear motionless. Giant single-celled organisms called xenophyrophores, the largest individual cells of any known organism, sit motionless in the sediment. Bone worms bore into the skeletons of dead whales that have sunk to the floor. Whale falls. The deep ocean calls them, an entire ecosystem blooming around a single carcass that took months to sink. A whale dies, falls, and feeds an entire community of deep ocean creatures for decades. Nothing is wasted here. Everything that falls is used. In the dark, in the cold, life finds a way. But there is somewhere deeper still. Below the abyss, below the flat plains and the sediment and the slow-moving creatures of the deep, the ocean floor cracks open. Trenches, vast narrow crevices that plunge even further down into the earth. The Mariana Trench in the western Pacific Ocean is the deepest of all. At its lowest point, Challenger Deep, the ocean floor descends to nearly 11,000 meters below the surface. 11 kilometers straight down. The pressure there is more than 1,000 times the pressure at sea level. 1,000 atmospheres. The weight of the ocean above pressing down with a force that would crush any vessel not specifically built to withstand it. And yet, scientists have found life even here. Snailfish, small, translucent, ghostly pale, have been filmed living at depths greater than 8,000 meters. The deepest fish ever recorded, moving through water where the pressure should be impossible. Amphipods, tiny shrimp-like creatures, swarm in the trench in numbers that surprise every expedition, thriving in a world that should not support life. They eat the marine snow that drifts down even here, even to the deepest place on Earth. The snow falls. Down here in the hadal zone, named for Hades, the Greek god of the underworld, the water is just above freezing. The darkness is absolute. The silence is so complete, it is almost a sound of its own. And in that silence, in that darkness, in that cold, something lives, patient, ancient, impossibly alive. There is one more wonder before we drift back up. In the dark of the abyssal zone, in the pitch black of the midnight zone, there are places where the ocean floor cracks open for a different reason. Not trenches, but vents. Hydrothermal vents. Fissures in the ocean floor where seawater seeps down through cracks in the Earth's crust, is heated by the magma beneath and erupts back into the ocean as superheated water, reaching temperatures of 300 degrees Celsius or more. Boiling water in the freezing cold dark of the deep ocean, billowing up in dark clouds of mineral-rich fluid, black smokers. They are called plumes of superheated water so dark with dissolved minerals that they look like smoke rising from a factory chimney. And around these vents, in complete darkness, in extreme heat, under crushing pressure, with no sunlight and no photosynthesis, life blooms. Tube worms grow up to 2 meters tall around the vents, waving gently in the current of superheated water, with no mouth and no stomach. They survive entirely on bacteria living inside their tissues, bacteria that convert the chemicals in the vent fluid into energy. Not sunlight, chemistry, life, powered not by the sun, but by the earth itself. Blind shrimp swarm around the vents in numbers that astonish researchers. Giant clams, ghostly pale crabs, an entire ecosystem that owes nothing to the sun, that has never needed it, that existed long before the first leaf ever caught the light. Scientists believe life on Earth may have begun at places just like this, not in a warm, sunlit pool, but in the dark, in the heat, in the chemistry of the deep, in the very place we would least expect to find it. And now, slowly, we begin to rise, past the hydrothermal vents and their impossible gardens, past the abyssal plain and its slow, patient creatures, past the marine snow drifting endlessly downward as we move upward through it, past the midnight zone and the anglerfish and the vampire squid and the billion lanternfish rising in their nightly migration, past the twilight zone where the last light finally finds us again, a faint blue glow growing slowly brighter as we ascend, until finally we break the surface. The ocean at 3 a.m., still, dark, the stars above reflected in the water below. Everything above the surface, the cities, the lights, the noise of the world, is still asleep. And beneath you, beneath every ocean, that vast dark world continues without you. The lanternfish rising, the marine snow falling, the anglerfish waiting in its absolute dark, the snailfish pressing through the crushing weight of the deep, the tube worms waving around vents that have burned for millions of years, all of it continuing right now as you rest, an entire planet of which we have only ever seen the bright, thin surface, all of it alive, all of it moving in the dark, just like you are now between waking and sleeping. In the quiet deep, let yourself sink a little further, not into the ocean, into sleep, the same darkness, the same silence, the same patient